So this week we are trying the Canadian Tim Hortons, now in the UK. Stick around, you'll see exactly how I rated it, what it cost me, and was the reality anywhere near the advertised? So as you saw there, the great man himself, Tim Horton, which up until hearing about Tim Horton, not being an NHL necessarily fan, although I've watched it over the years, I didn't know he was a top 100, but apparently, yeah, top 100 greatest NHL player of all time. So I guess that carries a fair bit of weight. And now deciding to open what was originally a coffee and donut shop. Obviously, you can go on Wikipedia. There's a few links in the description to articles on the place on Tim Horton. Apparently, NHL player turned restaurateur. Can't really fault him. Logo kind of looks all right, looks pretty decent as a name. Obviously comparing it to McDonald's and Burger King, long time established. However, this was created and opened, I think, in 1964, I believe. Obviously opening as a coffee and donut shop initially, obviously in Canada. And you can see there, famous ice hockey player. Miles Gilbert Tim Horton, born in 1930, first opened in 64, as I say, Tim Horton's Donut Shop. First stores only offer two products, coffee and donuts, but they've changed, branched out. Obviously, I guess you can't really stay as that per se, although Krispy Kreme have. But yeah, Tim Hortons is now burgers, the standard kind of McDonald's offerings, Burger King, etc. So I thought, let's just see what they're like. They've also got chicken sandwiches as well, but just to start off with, I had a bacon double cheeseburger meal, kind of just to compare it to the standard, which is Burger King's bacon double cheese. And without saying too much, which you'll see on the review, it wasn't particularly good. It doesn't look bad there, but it wasn't particularly good. The donuts, or donut, that was very, very nice. So yeah, onto the items that obviously been bought. As I say, bacon double cheese, it is as a meal, bacon double cheeseburger meal. I chose lattice fries. You could have loaded fries, everything else, but £1.59, I think does that show up on the screen there? £1.59, that's not bad for fries. I mean, in terms of McDonald's, that's not bad. However, the food's not particularly brilliant. To start off with, the chicken tenders, which you'll see in a second, they were just frozen standard chicken tenders, probably not made in-house, probably bought in, but at least they were chicken fillet. They were pretty decent. They got, some sort of spicy coating, well, not spicy, but a tiny little bit of heat, maybe pepper. So just a seasoned coating, kind of looking a little bit KFC-ish, but more kind of like your high street frozen chicken tenders with a breadcrumb coating, which they weren't bad. I mean, they were hot, they were cooked well, they were pretty juicy. They weren't sort of dry tenders. I just went for two of them just to have something chicken. I can't really rate them much more than that. They were pretty decent as tenders go. If you didn't know they were from somebody else, you could mistake them from KFC. Although, as I've said on many KFC seems to be going downhill. So the tenders weren't bad. I thought I'd just have a couple of sauces with them. The one I've got there is sweet chili, which I didn't show you. The chipotle sauce in the middle and the barbecue, I think it was on the right. So I thought I'd just have a couple of sauces just to see what they're like. I'm not quite onto the fries yet, although I've obviously just had what Joey's Hungry would say, a cheeky bite, I think it was. Something like that, I don't know. No, sneakerdoodle bite, I think is what he actually says. So, so just to finish off the tenders, obviously just to see inside again, they weren't bad. I mean, probably 4 or 6 or whatever, that'd probably be pretty nice. So moving on to the lattice fries, or cross-cut fries, as they say in the UK, they were not good at all. Not crispy, really, kind of supposed to be crispy, fluffy on the outside. Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. They were more or less just soft. Like, the heat obviously got to them. It's not a million miles away. I mean, it's probably 2 miles or so, 3 miles down the road. But they weren't particularly good. They were kind of soft and almost mushy, squidgy kind of fries, or lattice fries. The flavour of them wasn't bad. They didn't particularly have much of a seasoning to them, not really any salt and pepper or anything like that. And there wasn't many of them. I'll be perfectly honest, £1.59, you can kind of see where they've got in their marketing scheme of £1.59, but we'll chuck all of 5 or 6 in there. So I think in a total count, there was something like 8 8 little pieces. Which, you know, when you look at Five Guys throwing in the fries, nowhere near, it might be more than 8, but nowhere near. So they weren't particularly bad, but they weren't particularly good. Now, onto the burger. Looks, advertised versus reality, looks kind of similar. I took the raw onions off. I left them on there, obviously, to be cooked, etc., and the pickles. But I took them off because I'm not eating raw onions, and pickles are pretty much horrendous. The bacon wasn't streaky, but it wasn't back bacon, from what I could say. So it was somewhere in between, maybe just streaky bacon that didn't have as much fat on it. The bun toasted, and again, sort of squashed, obviously wrapped in foil. I don't know why they're obsessed with wrapping them in foil. I know it gives the kind of diner look to it, but it just obliterates the bun, essentially. As you can see, they're pretty much squashed. So the bun was just a standard poppy seeded normal, I can't think what you call it, normal bun. It wasn't particularly, just a seeded bun, they call it. Wasn't brioche, wasn't anything fancy, pretzel, etc. But it was a decent bun. I think most burgers are fine with a standard bun, if I'm being honest. However, the first bite I took, all I could think of was fairground burgers. Now, if you think when you go to the fairground or some sort of show or festival or carnival or whatever, they're the thinnest, the kind of strangest taste burgers I think ever. They're just bog standard, probably not really got much meat in them. Really, really thin, not really much charring on them. Those sort of burgers, the minute I bit into it, that's exactly what I thought. So it wasn't a particularly good burger. As you see there, the burger, or the beef itself, it was nowhere near a Burger King, nowhere near even a McDonald's. They were cheap patties, I would say. But the burger overall, that sort of taste to one side, wasn't too bad, but it was still pretty horrendous. So after the burger, onto the donuts, which they're obviously famous for from the original opening, was pretty damn good. I mean, you got almost comparable, or if not better, than Krispy Kreme. Nice and fluffy donut, fresh. Maple, probably a little bit too much on one side in terms of the maple sauce, but obviously maple, being Canadian, went down really, really well. And on the top, I believe it's, fudge, I think, sort of fudge pieces on the top. Where is it? Delicious deluxe, indulgent sweet, donut filled with caramel, dipped in maple fondant and topped with chunky fudge pieces. Yeah, that was really good. I mean, it was almost too much. There was a lot of maple, as you can see there, a lot of maple sauce syrup that came out of that. It was almost like you were eating it as it was kind of breaking down, the sauce kind of taking over everything. But in a sense, that's what you want from a donut. And I guess I can't really fault the price. I think it was $3.99 or $3.49. I don't know why I get these prices wrong every week, but just too many variations in prices. So from $1.59 for lattice fries to over £3 for a donut, but I guess that's how much donuts are these days. They're never going to go back to what they were. Say back in the day, £2, £2.50 maximum, absolute maximum for a donut. But it got a few things on it, so it wasn't too bad. Overall, as a place, as a diner, I think the overall place was good. The burger, horrendous, 4 out of 10. You can pause it and read the other couple, but it wasn't too bad a place. Try it, by all means. However, thanks to everybody that's been watching, and if you haven't, check out these videos.